When the opportunity came, it felt like fate. A job in another country, a once-in-a-lifetime career move. My husband, Daniel, had been incredibly supportive, or so I thought. "You have to take it," he said, holding my hands, eyes gleaming with what I now know was premeditated deceit. "We'll talk every day. It'll be like you never left." And for the first 2 months, it was. Video calls, sweet messages, even surprise flower deliveries. He made me believe in our love, in our bond that, apparently, only I had been holding on to. Then, one call changed everything. It was my best friend, Mia, her voice laced with an urgency that made my stomach churn. "I didn't know how to tell you this, but I just saw Daniel," she said hesitantly. "He was at the park, on one knee. Proposing." I laughed. The absurdity of it. To who? There was silence. Then she whispered, "Not you." My breath caught in my throat. "Are you sure?" "I saw them, clear as day. I even took a photo. I'll send it." The picture came through. There was Daniel, my husband of 6 years, down on one knee in front of some blonde in a sundress. A ring in his hand. The same one he used to propose to me. A tidal wave of realization crashed into me. The late replies. The sudden, bad internet connections during our calls. The way he avoided making plans to visit me. It wasn't work stress. It wasn't exhaustion. It was her. And I, fool that I was, had been funding his lifestyle, sending money home, thinking I was supporting our future. All while he was crafting a new one. Without me. I stared at the photo until my vision blurred. But my next move was crystal clear. Revenge. Not petty revenge. Not just a public call-out or a simple breakup. No. I wanted him to feel the weight of his betrayal. To lose everything, just as he had taken everything from me. And when I landed back home, I made sure of it. I booked my flight home that same night. No warning, no text, nothing. Daniel thought I was still thousands of miles away, blissfully ignorant. But I was coming. And I wasn't coming alone. Mia picked me up from the airport. The second I slid into her car, she handed me a folder. "I did some digging," she said, her eyes sharp with anger. "You're not going to believe this." Inside the folder were receipts, screenshots, and photos. A hotel reservation for 2, booked on nights he claimed to be too tired to call me. A charge for an engagement ring, which I realized was almost identical to mine. Bank statements. Money was missing from our shared account. My money. The money I had been sending back home to pay for bills and emergencies. And then, the worst part, his new fiancée's name. Sophia Carter. A girl from his office. One I had met once at a Christmas party. She had shaken my hand, smiled at me, and told me how lucky I was to have a husband like Daniel. Lucky. Mia's grip tightened on the steering wheel as she glanced at me. "What do you want to do?" I took a deep breath, staring at the city lights ahead. "I want him ruined." And so, the plan began. Step 1, the illusion. I needed Daniel to think everything was normal. So, I called him. "Hey, baby," I said, forcing my voice into its usual soft tone. "Sorry, I haven't been able to call much, work has been crazy." He chuckled, that fake, charming laugh. "I get it, sweetheart. I miss you." I clenched my teeth. Liar. "I miss you too," I purred. "Actually, I have good news." "Yeah?" I let a dramatic pause stretch between us before dropping the bait. "I got promoted. They're offering me a huge bonus. We'll finally be able to go on that dream vacation together." His excitement was instant. "That's amazing, babe. Wow, I'm so proud of you." "Oh, and there's more," I added, twisting the knife. "I'm transferring more money to the account this week." So you can start planning something special for us. Greedy little rat. I could practically hear his brain calculating. That's incredible. You deserve it, baby, he said smoothly. We should celebrate when you visit next. Oh, I was actually thinking, why don't you come visit me instead? Silence. Then he cleared his throat. Work's been crazy for me too. Hard to get time off. But soon, I promise. I smiled. I trust you. The biggest lie I had ever told. Step 2, exposure. Mia and I spent the next 2 days gathering more evidence. We found out where Sophia lived. Where they liked to go for dinner. Even the exact time Daniel picked her up from work every day. Then, I made a little investment. A billboard. Yes. A literal billboard. Right in the middle of town, near Daniel's office. It read, "Congratulations Daniel and Sophia on your engagement. Red heart from your loving wife, Emily." I made sure it had their photo. The exact moment he proposed. The one Mia had taken. And just to be thorough, I emailed it to his entire office, with a little note. "Daniel, I hope you don't mind me sharing your joyful news. After all, you forgot to tell your wife." Smiling face with smiling eyes. Step 3, the grand finale. I didn't go home immediately. Instead, I went to Sophia's apartment. I knocked on her door, and when she opened it, her smile faded the second she saw me. "You don't know me," I said calmly. "But I know you. And more importantly, I know him." She hesitated. "Who?" "I'm Daniel's wife." The color drained from her face. I held up the bank statements, the receipts, the evidence of him using my money to fund their little love story. "Did you know you're wearing a ring he already used on someone else?" I asked sweetly. "Because I sure didn't." Her hands shook as she pulled it off. "He told me, he said you were out of the country." I finished for her. I was. And look what happened the second I left. Tears welled in her eyes, and I almost felt bad. But then I remembered how she smiled at me that night. How she played innocent while stealing the life I built. "Here's my advice, Sophia," I said, leaning in. "If he cheated with you, he'll cheat on you. And if you think this is bad, wait until you see what happens next." She swallowed hard. "What do you mean?" I smirked. Stay tuned. Because Daniel's real punishment was still coming. The next morning, chaos erupted. Mia called me at 7 a.m., her voice breathless with laughter. "Emily. You need to check your email. Right now." Still groggy, I rolled over, unlocked my phone, and opened my inbox. And there it was. A flood of furious messages from Daniel. "Emily, what the hell did you do? Take that billboard down now. Are you out of your mind? My boss saw it. My coworkers saw it. Sophia is freaking out. You ruined my life." Oh, Daniel. Sweet, cheating, delusional Daniel. His life wasn't ruined. Not yet. I pulled up social media next. Hashtag Daniel the Double Dipper was trending locally. People from his office were roasting him in the comments under my post. "Imagine proposing to your side chick with your wife's money. Classy. This guy had 2 women paying his bills while he played house. Pathetic. Daniel, do you take Sophia to be your unlawfully wedded mistress?" I scrolled through the damage, grinning as I sipped my coffee. Then, my phone rang. "Daniel." I let it ring 3 times before answering. "Good morning, sweetheart," I said, my voice dripping with sarcasm. "Emily, what the F*** is wrong with you?" he exploded. I sighed dramatically. "Language, Daniel. Wouldn't want your fiancé to hear you talking like that." "You set me up," he accused. "You made me look like a complete idiot." I laughed. No, you did that. I just made sure everyone saw it. He was breathing hard, probably pacing. Sophia left me. She threw her ring at me and blocked my number. Do you have any idea what you've done? I feigned concern. Oh no. You mean the girl you cheated on your wife with didn't stick around when she found out you're a lying, thieving, two-timing dirtbag? Shocking. You're insane, he spat. I yawned. You're broke. Silence. That hit him where it hurt. You see, Daniel, I continued, I went ahead and froze our joint account. He sucked in a breath. You what? You heard me. No more luxury dinners on my dime. No more hotel rooms for your little love nest. No more me paying your bills. But. And don't even think about using your own money, because you don't have any. Daniel's entire salary barely covered his expenses. I had been the breadwinner. The one keeping us afloat. Without me? He had nothing. I let that sink in before delivering the final blow. Oh, and one more thing, I said sweetly. I already filed for divorce. You what? Yup. Signed, sealed, and delivered. And don't worry, I included all the proof of your infidelity. Which means I'm walking away with everything, and you? Well, you'll be lucky if you can afford a futon. His voice cracked. Emily, please. Let's just talk. We can fix this. I smiled. Oh, honey. You're not my problem anymore. Then, I hung up. Step 4, total annihilation. Daniel wasn't just going to lose his money and his fiancée. He was going to lose everything. I still had one more ace up my sleeve, his job. Daniel worked in finance. His company had a strict policy about workplace relationships, especially ones that involved fraud and misconduct. So I did what any scorned wife with receipts would do. I sent everything, the credit card statements, the hotel receipts, the Venmo payments to Sophia, and proof that he used corporate funds for personal expenses, to HR. Within 3 hours, I got a text from one of his coworkers. Holy S***. They just fired him. Asterisk. By the end of the day, Daniel had lost. Heavy checkmark his wife. Heavy checkmark his girlfriend. Heavy checkmark his money. Heavy checkmark his home. Heavy checkmark his job. And just to make sure the lesson really stuck, I made a call to his landlord. Hi, this is Emily Carter, I said cheerfully. I just wanted to let you know that Daniel Carter is going through some financial difficulties. You might want to check in on next month's rent. Because I had been paying half of it. Step 5, the sweet, sweet finale. 2 days later, I got one last message from Daniel. I hope you're happy. You destroyed me. I smiled. No, darling. You destroyed yourself. I just made sure everyone saw it. Then, I blocked his number. And just like that, I was free. Daniel's life was already in flames, but I wasn't done. Oh no. See, men like him don't just crumble after a breakup. They linger. They sulk. They look for sympathy. And I knew exactly where he would go next, his parents. Which is why I made sure I got to them first. Step 1, ruining his backup plan. Daniel's parents, Tom and Linda, were traditional, old-school folks. They believed in marriage, loyalty, and being a decent human being. They had always loved me like a daughter, because for 6 years, I had been one. So when I showed up at their house with a folder full of evidence, they were devastated. Linda clutched her chest, flipping through the receipts, the hotel bookings, the Venmo transfers. I can't believe this, she whispered. He told us you were too focused on work. That you were pulling away. I laughed, shaking my head. He was spending my money on another woman while feeding you lies. Tom, normally a reserved man, was furious. His jaw tightened. That ungrateful little. I placed a comforting hand on his. I'm not telling you this to hurt you. But I figured you deserve to know before he comes knocking, looking for a place to stay. Linda's face twisted. Oh, he's not staying here. Tom grunted. He can sleep in his damn car. Mission accomplished. Now, Daniel didn't just lose his job, his money, his apartment, and his fiancée. He lost his last safety net. Step 2, the public spectacle. Now, it was time for the grand finale. Remember Sophia? The mistress-turned-fiancée? Well, turns out she wasn't as innocent as she pretended to be. After I confronted her, she must have done some thinking. Because the very next day, she contacted me. And she wasn't just mad at Daniel. She wanted revenge too. See, Daniel had told her a web of lies as well. He made it sound like I was a cold, distant wife who refused to touch him. He swore our marriage had been over for years. He even promised her that I was the one cheating, which is why she agreed to be with him in the first place. She felt humiliated. So when I suggested a public exposé, she didn't just agree, she helped me plan it. Step 3, the wedding crasher. Daniel's brother, Jake, was getting married in 2 weeks. A beautiful church wedding. Big family event. Everyone Daniel knew would be there. And guess who RSVP'd? Me. And Sophia. We arrived together. Dressed to kill. The second we walked in, heads turned. People whispered. Daniel was in the corner, pale as a ghost, gripping a drink like it was the only thing keeping him upright. Jake's fiancée, Claire, greeted me warmly. Emily. It's so good to see you. She hesitated, glancing at Sophia. Anne, hi? I smiled sweetly. Claire, you remember Sophia, right? Daniel's ex-fiancée? Her eyes widened. Ex? But, didn't he just propose? Oh, he did. Sophia smirked. But that was before he lost his job, his home, and got dumped. Daniel stormed over, face red with anger. What the hell are you two doing here? I took a sip of my champagne. Celebrating love. You should try it sometime. His fists clenched. You are insane. Sophia crossed her arms. No, Daniel. We're karma. Then, Mia, who had been mingling with guests, gave me the signal. It was time. I cleared my throat and clinked my glass, gathering attention. I just want to say a few words. Daniel's eyes widened in horror. Emily, don't you? I ignored him. As many of you know, Daniel and I were married for 6 years. And in those years, I worked hard, built a career, and supported him in every way. Financially, emotionally, and apparently, romantically. A ripple of murmurs spread through the crowd. Unfortunately, I continued, while I was working overseas, Daniel decided to propose to someone else. Using my money. Gasps. Someone's grandma clutched her pearls. Sophia stepped forward, lifting her hand. With this ring. The same one he used to propose to Emily. People lost it. Jake looked horrified. Claire's jaw dropped. Linda, Daniel's mother, closed her eyes, shaking her head in shame. I turned to Daniel, whose face was now the color of raw meat. Anything you want to say, sweetheart? I asked, cocking my head. He opened his mouth. Closed it. Opened it again. Nothing came out. Just as I thought. Well, I said, setting my glass down. Enjoy the wedding. And with that, Sophia and I walked out, heads held high, victorious. The aftermath. Daniel didn't recover. His family disowned him. His friends cut him off. He was blacklisted in his industry because word spread fast. Last I heard, he was living in a tiny studio apartment, delivering food for extra cash. Meanwhile, I thrived. I got promoted again. I took that dream vacation, without him. I moved on with someone who actually respected me. And the best part? Daniel had to watch it all happen. Because the last message he ever sent me was this. I don't know how you're so happy after everything. After what you did to me. To which I replied. Because, Daniel. I won. Face blowing a kiss. Daniel thought the worst was over. Oh, how wrong he was. See, men like Daniel don't learn from their mistakes. They repeat them, just with new victims. And unfortunately for him, I still had one final trick up my sleeve. Step 1, the rebound disaster. It didn't take long for Daniel to start dating again. Well, trying to. With his reputation shattered and his bank account drained, he wasn't exactly a hot commodity anymore. But that didn't stop him from jumping on dating apps like a desperate man looking for an escape. And because I knew exactly what kind of woman he'd go after next, I had Mia create a fake profile. Meet Ava, a stunning, ambitious, wealthy woman who just loved guys with big goals and a passion for finance. Daniel took the bait instantly. Their chats were nauseating. Daniel, I used to be super successful in finance. Just taking a little break now. But I have big plans. You'd love my vision. Ava, oh, I love a man with ambition. Tell me more, winking face. Translation. He was broke and unemployed, but still acting like he was some financial genius. Ava reeled him in. After 2 weeks of messages, Daniel was obsessed. He kept pushing to meet up, but Ava was always traveling or busy with work. Then, she offered him a job. Step 2, the fake interview. I know someone looking for a financial advisor, Ava wrote. Super exclusive, high paying. Want me to put in a word? Daniel jumped at the chance. She set up a virtual interview with the CEO, which was actually Mia's cousin, Josh, pretending to be an executive. The whole thing was hilarious. Josh grilled him. Asked actual finance questions. Watched as Daniel fumbled and failed to answer even the basics. Then, at the end of the interview, Josh said, "Thanks for your time, Daniel. Oh, and by the way, Emily says hi." Click. Call ended. Daniel lost his mind. He blew up Ava's messages. Daniel, you be asterisk asterisk asterisk. I knew this was you, asterisk. Daniel, you set me up. Are you seriously still messing with me? Daniel, you ruined my life. Let me move on. Oh, Daniel. Sweetheart. You didn't let me move on. I simply returned the favor. Step 3, the final nail in the coffin. By now, Daniel had no job, no credibility, and no love life. But there was still one last thing left to take from him, his car. The only thing he still had from our marriage. See, while we were together, Daniel had taken out a loan to buy his beloved BMW. But because his credit was terrible, guess whose name was also on that loan? Mine. And when he stopped making payments, because, well, he was broke, I got notified. So, I did what any responsible ex-wife would do. I called the bank and repossessed it. Bye-bye, BMW. Step 4, the rock-bottom realization. The last time I ever saw Daniel was purely by accident. I was grabbing coffee with Mia when I spotted him across the street, sitting at a bus stop, looking miserable. His clothes were wrinkled. His face was hollow. He looked pathetic. Mia nudged me. Do we say something? I thought about it. Thought about everything he had put me through. Then, I took a deep breath and smiled. No, I said. His life is punishment enough. Because the best revenge? Was watching him suffer in silence. Epilogue, my perfect ending. As for me, I thrived. Heavy checkmark, got a promotion, an even bigger one than before. Heavy Checkmark took that vacation, without a single ounce of guilt. Heavy Checkmark started dating again, and this time, with someone who actually deserved me. Daniel, on the other hand? Heavy Checkmark fired. Heavy Checkmark homeless. Heavy Checkmark single. Heavy Checkmark riding the damn bus. And that was the moment I truly realized. I had won. Months passed. Life was peaceful. For the first time in years, I wasn't constantly checking my phone for excuses, half-truths, or forced apologies. I wasn't wondering what Daniel was doing, who he was talking to, or whether he was lying to me. Because now? He was nothing. But just when I thought I had finally rid myself of him forever, he came back. Step 1, the begging phase. It started with a text. Daniel, hey. I ignored it. A week later, another. Daniel, Emily, can we talk? Please. I laughed. Now he wanted to talk. After ghosting me, lying to me, cheating on me, stealing from me, ruining everything we had together, now, suddenly, he had something to say? I left him on read. But Daniel? He was persistent. After weeks of silence, I got another text. Daniel, I know I messed up. I need help. Ah. There it was. Not, I'm sorry. Not, I regret what I did. Just, I need something. Typical Daniel. Step 2, the last face-to-face. I wasn't going to reply. I was done. But then, he showed up. I had just finished a morning yoga class when I saw him waiting outside my apartment. Hair unkempt. Wrinkled clothes. Dark circles under his eyes. He looked like he had aged 10 years. For a moment, I almost didn't recognize him. Then he turned and locked eyes with me. I sighed. Might as well get this over with. I crossed my arms. What do you want, Daniel? His lips parted, but he hesitated, like he wasn't sure where to start. Then, in a hoarse voice, he muttered, I have nothing, Emily. I raised an eyebrow. I know. His face twisted in frustration. I mean it. I lost my job, my apartment, my car. My parents won't talk to me. Sophia, he exhaled. Sophia took a restraining order out on me. I almost laughed. He shook his head, staring at the ground. I hit rock bottom. Good, I said. You deserved it. His eyes snapped to mine, hurt flashing across his face. Don't you even feel a little bad? I tilted my head. Did you feel bad when you were spending my money on another woman? Silence. He knew he had no defense. Then, he said the magic words. I want to fix things, he muttered. With you. I blinked. Excuse me? He swallowed hard. I miss you, Em. I messed up, I see that now. And maybe we could talk. Try again. Oh. Oh, this was rich. Let me get this straight, I said, folding my arms. You only realized how much I meant to you after you lost everything? He rubbed the back of his neck. That's not what Did Sophia dump you? I cut in. He flinched. I told you, she. Yes or no? His jaw clenched. Yes. I nodded. And your job? Gone? Yes. Your money? Your apartment? Emily, Your BMW? A vein popped in his forehead. Yes. I smirked. So, to summarize, your backup plan fell apart and now, suddenly, you remember how much you love me? He stayed silent. I laughed. God, Daniel, you really are pathetic. His eyes darkened. You don't have to be cruel. I stepped closer, my voice lowering to a whisper. Oh, no, sweetheart. Cruel would be taking you back. Letting you think you could just walk back into my life after burning it to the ground. Tears filled his eyes. For the first time in our entire relationship, he was the one breaking. You don't love me, I continued. You love what I gave you. And without me, you have nothing. I let that sink in before delivering my final blow. You know what the worst part is? I murmured, leaning in. He swallowed hard. What? I smiled. I don't even hate you anymore. I pity you. Then, I turned around, walked inside, and never looked back. Step 3, the final goodbye. Daniel tried to contact me one more time. Daniel, I get it now. You're never going to forgive me. Daniel, I just hope one day, you'll remember the good times too. I stared at the message for a long moment. Then, I deleted it. Blocked his number. And finally, moved on. The true victory. Daniel wanted me to remember him. But the truth? I barely thought about him at all. Because while he was busy drowning in regret, I was busy living. Heavy Checkmark got a dream promotion. Heavy Checkmark took another vacation, this time, to Europe. Heavy Checkmark met someone new. Someone kind. Someone who actually deserved me. And Daniel? Well, he stayed exactly where he belonged. In my past. Daniel was out of my life. Or so I thought. Months had passed. I was happier than ever, thriving at work, traveling, and enjoying my new relationship. And then, karma did what karma does best. It came for him. Step 1, the unexpected gossip. One afternoon, Mia called me, her voice practically vibrating with excitement. Emily, you are not going to believe this. I smirked. Oh, please tell me Daniel got hit by a rogue pigeon. Better, she said. I ran into one of his old coworkers. Apparently, he's working at a gas station. I nearly choked on my coffee. A gas station? I repeated, eyes wide. Yup. Full uniform, name tag and everything. And get this, he tells everyone it's temporary, but he's been there for 3 months. I howled with laughter. The man who once mocked people for low-paying jobs. The man who thought he was too good to work retail or service. Flipping burgers and mopping floors. Oh, the irony. Step 2, the chance encounter. I wasn't planning to see him again. But the universe had other plans. One evening, after a long day at work, I stopped to grab gas. And as I walked inside to pay, I heard a familiar voice. Welcome to. Daniel froze. I blinked. Oh my God. There he was. Wearing a hideous red polo, standing behind the counter, looking miserable. For a second, neither of us spoke. Then, I smiled. Daniel, I said, feigning surprise. Wow. What a career change. His face burned. It's temporary. Of course, I said sweetly. So, tell me, do you take Apple Pay, or should I just tap my black Amex? His eye twitched. I savored every second of his humiliation. Then, as he rang me up, I couldn't help myself. I leaned in and whispered, maybe you should have kept your wife, huh? His entire soul left his body. I grabbed my receipt, winked, and strolled out the door. Step 3, the final kick. A few weeks later, I heard the best news yet. Daniel had been fired. Why? Because some high school kid caught him stealing from the register. Pathetic. And the cherry on top? He was now homeless. After losing job after job, he burned through what little savings he had left. His parents still refused to take him in. And last I heard, he was crashing on a friend's couch. So, to recap. Heavy Checkmark cheated on me. Lost both women. Heavy Checkmark used my money. Now broke and jobless. Heavy checkmark laughed at low-class jobs. Ended up working in one. Heavy checkmark thought he was untouchable. Now homeless. Karma had thoroughly handed him his ass. Step 4, my perfect ending. One night, I got a text from an unknown number. Daniel, I know you probably hate me. But I just want to say. I get it now. I really do. Daniel, I lost everything. And it's all my fault. For a moment, I considered replying. Then, I deleted it. And for the first time in years, I felt free. Because the best revenge was knowing I never had to think about him again. By now, Daniel's life was officially in the gutter. Heavy checkmark no job. Heavy checkmark no money. Heavy checkmark no home. Heavy checkmark no friends. And yet, he still wasn't done embarrassing himself. Step 1, the desperate reach. One evening, while I was curled up on the couch with a glass of wine, my phone buzzed. An unknown number. I almost ignored it, until a second message came through. Daniel, please don't block me. I need to talk to you. Oh, for God's sake. I debated ignoring it. But curiosity won. So, I replied. Me, talk about what? Daniel, I need help. There it was. Again. Not, I'm sorry. Not, I regret what I did. Just, help me. No self-awareness. No redemption. Just a pathetic, desperate man grasping at straws. I sighed. Me, Daniel, whatever sob story you're about to give me, I don't care. You got yourself into this mess. You can get yourself out. He panicked. Daniel, Emily, please. I have nowhere to go. I'm sleeping in my car. Daniel, I just need a place to stay for a few nights. I actually laughed out loud. This man, this cheating, lying, selfish idiot, really thought I'd let him sleep under my roof? Me, you didn't even have the decency to be faithful to me, and you think I'd let you crash at my place? His response was instant. Daniel, I made a mistake, okay? A mistake? No. Forgetting an anniversary is a mistake. Forgetting to take out the trash is a mistake. What you did was a series of calculated betrayals. I smirked. Me, good luck, Daniel. Then, I blocked him. Again. And just like that, he was gone. Step 2, the final, public humiliation. After that last conversation, I thought I'd never hear about Daniel again. But karma wasn't finished with him. A few weeks later, Mia sent me a news article. Local man arrested for petty theft in convenience store. I blinked. And then, I screamed laughing. Daniel. Daniel had been caught stealing food from a gas station. Mia FaceTimed me immediately, her face red from laughter. Did you see? I wiped tears from my eyes. Oh my God. I did. This is better than I ever imagined. Turns out, he had no job, no money, and no place to stay. He was so desperate that he tried shoplifting instant ramen, and got caught. Mugshot and everything. That was it. That was rock bottom. The man who once laughed at others for being broke losers was now sitting in a holding cell over a cup of noodles. Step 3, the ultimate victory. By now, I was so far removed from Daniel's disaster that he felt like a bad dream. My life was better than ever. Heavy checkmark career. Thriving. Heavy checkmark new relationship. Happier than ever. Heavy checkmark emotional state. Untouchable. And Daniel? Heavy checkmark unemployed. Heavy checkmark homeless. Heavy checkmark arrested for stealing $2 noodles. I never spoke to him again. Never saw him again. And honestly, I forgot he even existed. Because that's the best revenge of all. Living so happily, so freely, so successfully, that your ex fades into nothing.